right, welcome back, my friends. Welcome. Well, one of those days, definitely one of those days for the record book, that's for sure. So we had our first limit, circuit breaker limit down situation in the overall markets since 1987. Unique times. I was 13 in 1987. I'm 46. So, it's been a while. So anyway, interesting times. Got a little bit of a bounce here after hours. One of the biggest things I want to talk about is one of the biggest reasons I think. Now remember what I talk about is I think for 99% of you, day trading and swing trading should be treated as a quote unquote side hustle. Okay? I know hustle sometimes has some negative connotations, but I think of hustle as, the Gary Vaynerchuk idea. Okay? Check out Gary Vaynerchuk. Great guy. I've met him. I've just met him. It's not like I've hung out with him, but met him and chatted with him for a minute. But anyway, great guy. Love his books. Love his work. But Gary doesn't necessarily, I don't think he talks about the stock market. I could be wrong. But, he's always talking about multiple income streams. Looking for opportunity where you can find it, and just hustling, get after it. And I think, if you're going to sell stuff on eBay or sell stuff on Etsy or, drop ship supplements or flip houses, I own real estate. I don't flip houses, but I've bought and sold rental houses through the years. Not flips. I've held them years and sold them later. But anyway, I think the best side hustle is day and swing trading. Now you got to learn it. You got to spend time to learn it, but I don't think it's any different than flipping a house. Hey, if you have zero construction experience, you don't even know which end of the hammer to hit the nail with, are you going to flip a house tomorrow? No, you're going to learn some skills. You're going to buy a really cheap house, learn as you go, and maybe your first house flip takes you a year because you make mistakes and you don't know what you're doing and you have to ask for help. So trading, you got to spend the time to learn it. But the reason I call it the ultimate side hustle is on days like today, you don't have to do anything. The Dow was down 2,000 points at one point. You don't have to do anything. And if you're agile, if you have a plan, then you just shut the laptop and you focus on your day job. Or you focus on your other business. Hey, maybe you have another business. Or maybe you're in school. These are the days, in my opinion, get your homework done. Do your schoolwork. So, cash is a position, and you don't have to try and trade every single day. I think that's one of the biggest fallacies out there, especially if you're new. If you're new or even intermediate and you're sitting there trying to force stuff every day, and then you're going to sit there and you're going to be like, well, they talk about 90% that fail. We all hear that number. Everybody hears that number, 90% fail. Well, why do 90% fail? One, I think people have a get rich quick attitude. They want too much too soon. They want to buy a Lamborghini today, okay? They want to make $1 million this week. So I think, in my opinion, unrealistic expectations is the number one reason. And that just goes back into get rich quick. I want it now. Now. I want it now. I don't want to study for 6 months or a year or 2 years or 5 years. I want it now. So that's number one. And then number two, I just think is forcing things. If I'm going to talk about the top 2 reasons that people fail, it's just forcing stuff when there's nothing there. And you're overlooking the best part of the stock market. The best part of the stock market is it doesn't care if you're there or not. Okay? Don't go to work tomorrow. What's your boss going to say? Don't go to class tomorrow. What's your boss going to say? Don't come home tonight. What's your wife or husband going to say? You have to show up in so many. One of the biggest keys to success is just showing up. I think that's I think it's a Woody Allen quote. 90% of success is showing up. So many things in life, you have to show up. Market doesn't care if you're there or not. And if you come in this morning, you fire up your laptop, we're gapping down huge, nothing's going on, nothing you like, nothing fits your criteria, who cares? Boss is going to fire you if you don't show up. Teacher's going to fail you if you don't show up. Your wife or husband's going to divorce you if you don't come home tonight. Stock market, you can just wait for your setup. So, that being said, as always, we're here for the weekly watch list review. And guess what? News bulletin. My watch list from this weekend. All of the stocks. The watch list so far, we're 1 day into the week, but so far the watch list is pretty freaking mediocre, all right? But cut me some slack. Before you're like, oh, watch list was terrible. What did I say? It was the worst day since 1987. Cut me some slack. That being said, let's go through it. I know if you were here early, or if you took it over the weekend, gapped up huge. I was a hell of a gapper, and it's on my agenda to talk about. But hey, the simple fact is, when you're a piece of crap penny stock biotech that is up 500%, and Andrew Left of Citron Research bashes you on a down 2,000 point day, it's going to be rough for you, Holmes. Simple fact is, this stock was up 500%, and it's a sketchy biotech. This is not a good company. But when you're up 500%, the Dow is down 2,000 point, and Andrew Left drops the hammer on your head, you're going to have a rough day. So, but it is what it, and actually I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. So it is what it is. Really, unless you took this over the weekend, there was no trade. You wouldn't have bought this at the open because it was dead meat. It couldn't break the high, couldn't break VWAP. So, now if you gapped it, I certainly hope you sold at 20. Come on. Back to the reasons so many fail. One of the big reasons so many fail is they have unrealistic expectations. If you were overnight this, let's say you bought at $3.30. Here's a $14 stock. If you're not selling at 20 or 19 or 18, come on. Seriously. Now, I don't know if any of you had it over the weekend, but if you did, let's talk hypotheticals. If you did, if you weren't selling in the 19s or the 18s or the 17s, come on. Have realistic expectations. Quit with the Lamborghini and the $1 million this week crap, okay? Quit trying to get rich today. Take your $300, your $3,000, whatever it is, whatever that number was. I mean, if you had 100 shares over the weekend, you were up $600 on 100 shares. If you had 1,000 shares, you're up $5-6 grand. Have realistic expectations. So, that being said, INO is probably dead. Actually, I think at this point, I think all the virus stuff is dead. And actually, I'm going to move on so that I can get to some Q&A. I want to tell you why I think all the virus stuff is dead. And actually, let me get you the some links here. So the watch list is, let me get you the watch list. It's free. Sign up. Get on it. There's the watch list. I got a new ebook. Right there's the ebook. It's free also. Check that out. And we got a new podcast dropping in the morning. Get on that. So, all right. So I'm going to talk about why do I think the virus stuff is dead. I've got many reasons. Number one, I just think the hype and the fear is fading. Okay, and you can agree or disagree with me. Okay, I'm not here. Listen, I'm no virologist. I'm no scientist. I'm no doctor. But it just really feels like we have crested the fear profile. So I think the news is going to continue to fade. Number two, Citron killed INO. Well done, Andrew Left. I respect you. I've met Andrew, too, actually. It's kind of the neat thing about being in stock so long. I met Andrew 2 years ago. Again, I just met him. I don't know Andrew. If you asked Andrew, he'd probably be like, who's Tim Bohen? But I did get a selfie with him. I did get a selfie with Andrew Left. But, hey, but nothing but respect for the guy. Nothing but respect. And when he brings the hammer, and you can see it in INO. So I think the news is fading. Citron killed INO. Market's sketch. It's sketchy out there. And then the biggest thing, and this is the biggest thing I want you to keep an eye on, is we're starting to see the offerings now, okay? So we had offerings in the beginning of the run, okay? Remember, all of these penny stocks, their job is just to sell stock to stay in business, okay? So I'm not saying it's bad that they're doing offerings. I mean, it's just the way the stock market works. And you can get mad, you can yell at these, stocks, or you can report them to the SEC if you want, but this is the way the stock market works. And it's always worked this way. Your stock runs up a ridiculous amount on some sort of news, and you dilute. You dilute and you dilute to raise cash because you're broke, and your CEO, speaking of Lamborghinis, he wants to buy Lamborghinis and cocaine. All right? If you're a penny stock, if you work for a penny stock right now, remember, your CEO's number one goal is to buy a new Lamborghini and buy some more cocaine. So recognize the way penny stocks work, okay? So I'm not blaming them for doing offerings, but we had 2 intraday offerings today with specs and COCP, and I think you're just going to see more and more of them. So those are the top 4 reasons I think the coronavirus stuff is fading. But, and I know what every one of you are going to say. Well, not every one of you. Half of you are going to say, Tim, you just ranted about how every virus penny stock is a fraud. They're all going to raise cash. None of them are going to accomplish anything, which all of those statements I stand by. None of these coronavirus penny stocks are going to accomplish a single thing. None of them. Not one. Without exception, none of them will accomplish anything. So I know what half of you are going to say, and it's probably in the chat right now. Why don't we short them all? Short them all, short them all, short them all. Well, Tim, short them all. And I give you AIM. All right? AIM is one of the worst of the bunch. This might be top 5 worst penny stock virus tickers. What did it do today? A VWAP hold high at daybreak. My favorite pattern on ridiculous volume. I go over this every week. What's the VWAP hold high at daybreak? It is a hot sector. It is a big gainer early that consolidates around VWAP, breaks in the afternoon on quote unquote ridiculous volume. Let me bring up a bigger chart of AIM, and it's all there. And what I'm getting at is this: hey, you're free to do whatever you want. Okay, you're free to do whatever you want. But if tomorrow you short a virus play and it's chopping around VWAP into the afternoon and it starts to perk, you gotta get out. Okay? You gotta get out. You can't risk it. Because think about AIM. It's the worst of the worst. The market's down 2,000 points. What does AIM proceed to do? Goes from 350 to 9 in like 6 hours. Hell, it went from 350 to 650 in 30 minutes. So, I just want to be clear on that. If you're in this thing, and I'm not saying AIM, I'm saying any of these things. If you're in this big gainer and it's chopping around VWAP and you're like, oh, it's the worst, it's the worst. Look at the financials, look at the SEC filings. Terrible company, it's doomed. And it starts spiking on, let me bring up, I want a 5-minute chart. And you start seeing this, okay? Look, that U-shaped volume. You start seeing this thing building, and it starts creeping towards the high of day. And look what happens when the high of day breaks. Kablooey. So, I just want to be clear. Because of the fact I bash these things for 10 minutes. But recognize when you're getting in that. I mean, it's the classic short trap. They keep dipping it to suck you in, but they support it. Dip, support, and it hangs and it hangs and it hangs. And you wait and you wait and you wait. But then when that volume comes in and that high of day breaks, you just blew up your account. Let me be clear. You blew up your account in the worst, shorting the worst stock in the world in a Dow down 2,000 point day. I mean, if there was ever a day to short a sketchy penny stock, it was today. But if you didn't recognize the pattern, you didn't recognize the volume, kablooey. It's all over. So, all right, let me hit some Q&A. And let's just get ready to rock tomorrow. I mean, going back to what I said, you don't have to trade every day. So, beautiful. Catherine D. Overnighted INO and sold at 13. Well done. Phoenix says, LMFAO, you're so funny. Thank you. Phoenix, listen, we're here to learn. We're here to get better. But listen, I think back to like the teachers that I learned the most from, whether I go back to high school or college, the instructors, the professors, the high school teachers, whatever it was, the ones I learned the most from were the ones that really enjoyed what they did. Okay, going back to high school, I mean, I had terrible grades in high school, terrible, but 99% of my teachers mailed it in. They didn't care. And listen, I'm not blaming the teachers for my bad grades, but how much more of would I have learned? How much more could I have taken out of that if they loved what they did? So Phoenix, thank you. I love talking stocks. I like helping all of you. So if you're having fun and you're learning, that's what I want. So Joey says, what about AIM, Tim? It was a sick VWAP hold setup. Yes, my friend Joey. So I'm a little behind on chat, but I mean, obviously, Joey, I just ranted about AIM for 10 minutes. Hey, Joey, in $3.99, out $4.70. Left a boatload on the table, but man, Joey, here's the thing. I don't care if you had 100 shares or 1,000 shares. Well done. You made 70 cents in probably 10 minutes. I mean, even if you had a couple hundred shares, you made a couple $100 in what, 10 minutes? So, how do you get the green to red line? Just right click the chart and it's the toggle close indicator. So right click your chart, or if you're on the Mac, 2 fingers, right click it and then toggle close indicator. That gives you the red to green line that I talk about all the time. Lyndon says, Mr. Bowen, thank you for everything you do. It's greatly appreciated. I've read your SDT book. Thank you, Lyndon's, the complete penny stock course, and currently Steve Neeson's Japanese candlestick charting techniques. Those are awesome. My question is, who would you recommend for swing trading? I would like to get my hands on more info. Great question, Lyndon's. My books are over there. So, hold on. Sorry. One of my many bookshelves is over there. Swing trading. Stan Weinstein's How to Profit in Bull and Bear Markets. I'll leave it up for a second so you can screenshot it. And then number 2, the Bible. Okay, this is the Bible of longer term holding, and it's The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. And then the last thing I would recommend, especially for swing trading, would be The Can Slim by William O'Neill. But what's the name of the book? I think it's How to Make Money in Stocks. How to Make Money in Stocks, a Winning System in Good and Bad Times, 4th edition. So I almost remembered it. So How to Make Money in Stocks by William J. O'Neill with the Can Slim system, and then Intelligent Investor and How to Profit in Bull and Bear Markets. Start there. There's plenty more, but start there. And thank you, Don Lindens. bu- 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 I love these live streams of you over the watch list. You probably know the weekend. I can't always watch a live stream, but I always watch it later. Thank you, Miguel. Yeah. Hey. So I'm not. I won't bash stock twits, but I will leave this. I will leave you with this. I got no beef with stock twits. I got no beef with fin twit, as we call it. But the biggest thing, and this is my final point, and thank you everyone for the questions. If I missed your question, it's late. It's a busy day. I mean, I know for a lot of you it's not late, but when you get up at 4:30 a.m., it's late, okay? So, but the final point I will leave you with is whatever it is. If it's a chat room, if it's a forum, if it's Reddit, if it's stock twits, if it's Twitter, if it's Facebook, one of the biggest things you want to focus on is getting to the point where, and it takes time, but getting to the point where you're self-sufficient, okay? Listen, I do the watch list, but if you're like, I have no idea what to trade, I don't want you just picking some stock off the watch list and being like, well, I'm going to buy this one. Use the watch list to see what's in play, to replicate it. Try and copy it, try and replicate it. Why? Why was I interested in Zoom and Peloton and INO and Trill and DRAD? Why was I interested in those tickers? And again, this is my watch list. And same goes for all these places on the internet, man. You gotta get to the point where you're coming up with your own ideas, your own tickers. Now I'm biased towards books, or webinars, or Stocks to Trade Pro. It's a program where I do twice daily webinars. I think it's a great way to learn this stuff. But I won't bash any online resource. Just be careful. Just be careful. And your number one goal is self-sufficiency. Hey, I love that you're here. I love doing these webinars. I love the questions. We're growing every week. Thank you for being here. And I have a blast doing them. But my number one goal, and I mean it, my number one goal would be for you to get to the point where you're like, man, Tim's live streams are fun. They're pretty cool. I enjoy them. But, I don't really need them anymore. I'm consistently profitable. I have a process. I know how to spot, the best setups. I know how to stick to a stop loss. I know how to have a trade plan. I know how to have realistic expectations. And, I liked watching them, but I'm self-sufficient. I don't need them anymore. That's what I want. So I leave you with that. If I can help you get a little bit closer to that goal where you're self-sufficient and consistently profitable with this webinar, mission accomplished. Have a great night, my friends. As always, love you showing up. Love all the questions. And as always, if I didn't answer your question, I'm not ignoring you. I'm not skipping over it. It's just, it's bedtime. So have a great night. Hope to see you in Stocks to Trade Pro. Check out the watch list. Check out the podcast. Check out the ebook. And worst case scenario, I would look forward to seeing you next Monday night.